What's up, everybody? Thumpr Fishing. Well, today's a special day. So today marks vlog number 100. Yes, that's right, 100. I started doing these vlog style videos. Number one was on January 9th. Now, of course, I do have plenty of videos before that, and then even in between some of these vlogs, I had some longer form videos that I didn't consider a vlog. So there's been more than 100, but just vlog style, this is kind of what I was up to. This is what I was doing. The first one was January 9th, and we are already hitting 100 right now, and we still got, what, 2.5 months left of the year? That's pretty good. That is pretty good. So I figured, hey, what better way? I know I've been promising the Q&A, question and answer video for a while, so much so I've got 3 different sticky notes with questions. For those of you that ask those questions, you know that I usually respond to them and you already have an answer, but these are just usually frequent questions or questions that you wanted to see me address on video. So that's what I'm going to do today, and I figured that's a great way to celebrate vlog number 100. So today, FYI, there is no fishing in today's video. This is going to be purely just me talking about things that I do, whether it's fishing, personal life, whatever. You guys ask all different types of questions, so I will be addressing that. And the hard part, the reason why I haven't filmed this sooner, is finding, some quiet time to actually sit down and do it. I got 2 teenage boys, I've got 2 dogs, and when you're out fishing, boats coming. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just find time throughout my day today and this weekend and just pick a couple questions and start asking them. So there's just going to be segments of me answering your questions. So let's get to the first one. Question number 1 is, what is the craziest fishing story you have? Oh boy. For those of you that talk to me, I have way too many crazy fishing stories. But what would be the craziest fishing story? Oh my goodness. If I had to narrow it down to one, it would probably be giant squid fishing in San Diego. So let me explain. So when I was getting out of the military after my deployment to Iraq and all that fun stuff, I was in the Wounded Warrior program. I'm a Wounded Warrior alumni, and I was in the Wounded Warrior program in San Diego. And they would always plan events for us, and we got such cool privilege. I mean, I got to hang out. This is a side story real quick. There was one day they said, hey, we got these up-and-coming country singers that would love to play some music for you, and because they're trying to grow and get the word out of their music. So no one really went because no one knew these people's names, but I went down to the rec center and I got to sit about 3 feet in front of these 2, for the first guy, and there's only maybe like a dozen of us in there, and I'm having a soda, and this guy in front of me, he's literally, I'm sitting right on, it's like a bar stool, and I'm sitting 5 feet in front of the guy with the guitar, and he says, hey, my name's Luke Bryan, just out of college, and I'm looking to get my music out there. And he handed out a couple of cheesy little CDs that he signed, which I'll put a picture over here. He signed them, signed a couple of pictures. I had him make it out towards, sign it to my wife. And he played music right in front of us, in between songs, just chatting with me. And I absolutely loved his music. And I was one of the first groups of people that was really kind of telling people about Luke Bryan. Now everybody knows Luke Bryan, right? He's on American Idol. He's one of the top country singers. I don't even think I could afford to sit down with like a one-on-one with him and chat with him like I did before. I just had no idea, just crazy, right? Look at where he's at. And then the second guy came out and he said, hey, my name's Lee Bryce. So I also got to meet Lee Bryce. Anyway, I'm off topic here. So while I was in San Diego, being a fisherman, I was like, maybe I could sneak out and find some time to go fishing, you know? And so what I did is I decided that I was going to sign up for a charter. I think it was H&H or H&M charters in San Diego. And this is in 2000, the end of 2005? No, 2006. And so I signed up for this day charter, and me and two other vets went out, and we didn't have much luck. I mean, we caught, I think, like a small, like little rockfish, and that was it. So when we came back in, I saw this printed up little sign that said giant squid fishing. And I said to myself, well, what the heck is that? And I asked the guy, and he said, hey, they've never been around here before, but the guys have found them. It's something new that we're doing. We go out at 11 o'clock at night. We go 13 miles out to a huge drop off and fish like 1,300 feet deep. So here's a picture of my squid jigs and the weights that we had. And you got a big old reel. And we went all the way out there in the middle of the dark. And you would basically charge these jigs in the boat lights. And then you would just drop this thing all the way down. Now, as we were catching them, you know, the squid will slowly start to come up, following everybody, you know, reeling in their big old jigs. So initially, you basically would just pull up or reel up, you know, a couple feet and drop it. And it wasn't necessarily that they fight. It's almost like reeling in like a bucket of rocks, because they have that skin or whatever you call it that kind of shoots them, and they kind of go. So that kind of opens up when you're pulling them by their tentacles. So you're pulling something up from so deep, you got a lot of line to reel. So it was definitely a muscle burner, and it was like pulling up a thing of rocks. But look at the size of these squid. And each one of us caught 24 at least, and there was no limits or anything. And we had steaks of calamari, steaks of it like that thick, and we used to trade a lot of it to the Asian market and stuff like that for beer money and things. So that's what we did with them. But here's the interesting part. Those big old Humboldt, I believe they were called Humboldt squid, they have a razor sharp beak inside their mouth. I do think I kept it somewhere. I'm not sure where it is, but it's still intact today. But razor sharp beaks that if they get you, they will draw blood. And then a lot of what people don't realize is that all their suction cups on their tentacles, it's not just a suction cup, it's full of teeth. So if they get you on your arm, it'll pull a chunk of skin off. That, and they shoot like a gallon of ink, so you don't want to wear any clothing that you don't mind getting completely ruined. So I knew no one was going to believe me when we bought it, so I brought one back to our barracks and laid it out for everybody to see. And that's the picture that you got to see. But the most interesting part of that trip was there was probably about a dozen of us all fishing on the side of this boat and all jigging our squid jigs. And at the same time, everybody's rods just went so heavy that it just snapped everybody. And those jigs weren't cheap. You know, back then I think they were $20-30 for each one. And it just snapped a dozen of us all at the same time. And I won't lie, we were all a little freaked out because we were thinking, that's probably like a giant squid that just went and grabbed him or something, because and back then though, giant squid were just kind of a myth. And then 4 or 5 years later, you know, those scientists found out that giant squid do exist, and there's actually 2 species, the giant squid and then I think one called the colossal squid, which is somewhere near Japan. But yeah, I called back actually 2 years ago to that charter in San Diego, you know, saying, man, because I would love to do that again, and asked them, you know, do you guys still do that? And they said they have not seen those squid again out there in that area since then, and they haven't done it. So it was just one of those experiences that thankfully when I saw it, I jumped on it and I had an experience of a lifetime. And so that's probably my craziest fishing story. But then again, it's kind of I feel like I gotta talk about, that's just about as crazy as fishing in Iraq on the Euphrates River. So let me this is gonna be a long question. Let me touch base on on the other one that's right up there with it. So I had to run into the tackle shop, get some more toys. Anyway, so like I said, I have a bunch of crazy fishing stories, so it's really hard to narrow it down. So I'll keep it down to 2. So the other craziest fishing story I have, I'd say, is obviously fishing the biblical Euphrates River in Iraq. Being someone that loves fishing, and then being over there in Iraq, I was stationed in a place. It was in the Al Anbar province. Back then they called it the Wawa West, and I was at the Haditha Dam. I actually lived my time in Iraq in the Russian dam there, and you had this huge lake on one side, and then you had the Euphrates River on the other side, and I was seeing huge fish out there. And the locals, they just use these weird welded big hooks and they snag. There's obviously no fishing regulations there. So I wanted to catch something, anything, right? Well, long story short, they ended up sending me a bunch of fishing poles, a bunch of gear for all the guys, to where we were able to even leave that for the next unit that was coming in. But once we had actual fishing poles, peanut butter and crisp apple were the go-to power baits back then, using granola bars, and we were catching a lot of carp. But then there was these weird looking, I never got a picture of it, but there were these weird almost looking bass fish that were like a green sparkle. And then also these things, they look like a carp, but they're built like a torpedo. And I would throw that on the outgoing part of the dam, where all that big current and churned up water was. And those fish would be sitting in that current, just eating any bait that got chopped up from the dam. And I would throw that spinner out there and just let it work in the current. And I was catching these things. Super cool looking fish, fought really good. But in the lake side of it, you had these things. I don't even know what the heck they're called. I don't know what most of these fish are called besides just that common carp. But yeah, just catching stuff there there's a few times you got to take cover. You get incoming mortars. There was a couple of close calls. I actually have a piece of shrapnel that ended up hitting a piece of concrete right next to me while I was fishing. So my lieutenant did tell us that we shouldn't be fishing, and he didn't want us fishing anymore, but I won't lie, I still snuck out there to do some fishing. So then there's a couple of times too, we'd even cast a pole out the back of the tank if we were parked up next to the water. But yeah, that's another crazy one, to be able to fish in a combat zone. I mean, not many can say that they've done that, let alone catch some fish over there. But there's some pretty big monster fish that are in that Euphrates River. So that is if I had to pick 2 of the craziest fishing experiences, it would probably be the giant squid fishing and then fishing the Euphrates River in Iraq. So let's go on to the next question, because I definitely took way too long on that one. I got so many crazy stories. I could do a whole video with just crazy fishing stories. I'm sure some of you have some pretty crazy fishing stories too. So that's kind of one of those loaded questions, because that's hard to narrow it down to 2. But all right, I'm going to pull into the shop and then we'll address question number 2. Jacob says, hey, just found your channel. Wow, great content. How is it that you only have 500 something followers or subscribers? Yeah, great question. Actually, when you asked that question, I was at 500. Lately, I have actually been gaining quite a bit of followers. I think I'm at like 570 something. But yeah, with the amount of videos I put out and all that, a lot of people wonder, how do I'm not too sure. Like I said, obviously I would love to have a lot of followers, but that's not the whole reasoning why I do my videos. But I would say, a lot of guys will go on and they'll post their stuff all over social media and really put it out there. And there's just so many dang trolls. I probably don't push my videos out as much as I probably should. But in the way I look at it is I may not have this crazy amount of followers, but I also didn't just get these crazy amount of followers because of one viral clip. My followers is more of what I call like an organic growth. It's a nice slow and steady growth, but the people that follow me, they like seeing the content. They usually have similar values and appreciation for the outdoors and fishing, and it's not just all about catching fish every time. So, and I would say that the majority of my followers, even though it's not this crazy number, that it is a lot of good people, and I'm starting to meet a lot of you guys. I get messages and emails all the time wanting to go fishing. The hard part is just trying to find time to go with everybody, which is a whole new thing for me as well. You know, I dealt with a lot of social anxieties for many years, so I'm getting there. I'm getting a lot better at meeting people and doing that kind of stuff, because this is something that I absolutely and 100% enjoy. So yeah, that is definitely a comment that I get a lot, is a lot of people will watch my videos and say, wow, you know, I'm just surprised that you don't have a lot more. And yeah, I don't know. It's the algorithm must not like me. I don't really know, but I'm not too upset about it. Like I said, I am at a slow, steady growth, and honestly, I'm still learning. I'm still making better videos. I still want to try and learn maybe how to incorporate drone shots and things of that nature. So, you know, I figure, hey, by the time that I do get this crazy amount of following, because I don't plan on stopping doing what I'm doing, that someday when I do have thousands of followers or subscribers, at that point, I should be pretty dang good at making my videos and things like that. So it is what it is. You know, I don't think that you should start a channel or something like that just for the sole purpose of trying to get subscribers, because then, you know, like I said, it just takes away a lot of the fun of it, and I like to have fun and enjoy what I'm doing. So next question: are you married, and do you have kids? Yes to both. I will actually be married here in December for 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. Me and my wife were good friends in high school, and I think that's one thing that's benefited us, is that the fact that we were just really good friends growing up. So we have a lot in common, and we've been through a lot of stuff. We got married right before I deployed over to Iraq, had to deal with that. And then the day I got home from Iraq, my firstborn son was born, literally the same day. Here's a picture of that. So we've been through a lot of trials and moving and things like that. And I'm very fortunate enough. You know, I definitely won the lotto with my wife, for sure. Here's a picture of my wife, Erin, and me. Like I said, just super fortunate. And as far as kids, I do have two. I have two boys, both teenagers. I know people always say, oh, thankfully you don't have girls. They're way more expensive. But boys can be a challenge too. My oldest, he turned 19 a couple weeks ago, and my youngest is 15. So I definitely have my hands full. It's definitely hard to, every time I start saving up a little bit of cash here and there for some tackle, they need something. So makes it very hard to save up for stuff. I am trying to get them outdoors a little bit more and try and do some of this stuff. But you know, kids these days, I think that, but they are starting to show a little bit more interest in wanting to get out and do stuff. So maybe in one of these videos soon, you'll see some of them as well. All right, time to fill up some gas, and let's figure out what the next question is. All right, next question. Where in Florida do I usually fish? How long have I been in Florida? And what makes fishing in Florida different? And do I like it? Okay, so let's start with the first one. I have been in Florida just over 2 years, so not too long, but I think that we've been learning at a pretty steady pace, I would say, for sure. I would say I have been doing the inshore fishing thing for about 2 years. The first couple months, I won't lie, I was all excited catching catfish and pufferfish because it was just something new. And I'm usually fishing the Space Coast of Florida, Mosquito Lagoon, Indian River. The furthest south I've gone so far is Palm Bay, Turkey Creek area. And the furthest north was just in my last video, Edgewater. So I would say, yeah, usually I'm fishing. obviously it's all Space Coast, but usually I'm fishing Mosquito Lagoon, Indian River, the Merritt Island Wildlife Refuge, Canaveral National Seashores, Port Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, and Banana River. Those are all areas I fish all the time. And the other part was, do I like it? I absolutely love it. And you'll hear people say all the time, Florida is definitely a go-to place if you love fishing and outdoors, because the fishery here is unlike anything, I've seen. I mean, if you're a bass fisherman, there's plenty of bass fishing, even peacock bass down south. If you are an offshore fisherman, there's a whole gambit of fish that you can get offshore that I'd love to get into one of these days. I just don't have the means of getting out there. You got mahis and kingfish and tuna and giant groupers and snappers, cobia. I mean, there's just so much fish out here. Sailfish, swordfish. And then, of course, the inshore fishery, you get a mix of, fish that are moving to and from the ocean and fish from the, in the water. If you like fishing just oddball fish, there's plenty of that. There's mine cichlids, there's snakeheads, there's clown knife fish. I mean, you name it, you could fish it here in Florida, and there is water everywhere. So as you can imagine, it's a fisherman's paradise for sure. So as for someone like me that loves fishing, yeah, I absolutely 100% love it. All right, I'm at the hardware store now, so I'm gonna walk in here and then we'll address the next question. All right, next question from Jesse in Oregon. What is my work history or my education? Okay, well, obviously, when I was younger, I was trying to be a firefighter. That was my goal. 9/11 happened, all that kind of stuff, and I ended up joining the Marine Corps. At the time, I figured, hey, if we're gonna go take care of business after 9/11, I wanted to be part of something that I knew was gonna get some payback. And I won't lie, a lot of people thought, hey, are you sure, Marine Corps? That's a pretty tough crowd, but yeah, I joined the Marine Corps and I did great at boot camp. It was a little tougher than I thought it was going to be, but we managed. And then I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, where I learned how to drive an M1 Abrams main battle tank. And I won't lie, I was a freaking good driver. I could drive that thing like no other. That was great. Then I came back over to California, because I was born and raised in California, and I was stationed in 29 Palms out in the middle of the desert, which there ain't much to do out there, and did a lot of training. And then I deployed over to Iraq in 2005. After that, I had some rough years there for a while. I got involved when I ended up, my family moved to the Pacific Northwest, which was great at the time because I wanted to get away from just the whole deserts and hot. So obviously Washington was beautiful. It's green, it rains a lot, and that was a great stepping stone for me to where I am now. But I went to Washington State and I got into a program, I think it was called VCC, Veterans Conservation Corps. And I was taking college courses in environmental restorations, water treatment, and things of that nature. I never ended up getting a degree or anything like that. I ended up getting a job with a couple vets that I met in the program, and I did a variety of work. There is probably 36 parks and beautiful refuge and preserves in Washington State that I helped plant. It'd be amazing to see what they look like now. But after there was like construction and they clear areas, we would go in there and we would plant native plants and erosion control plants, and then we would go back and maintenance those. And I did that for a couple years. Then I started working for another veteran friend of mine, and we used to go all into the national parks, deep up into the Cascade Mountains, and pack in cutters and chainsaws and all that kind of stuff, and we would be the ones after the winter season that would actually clear those trails that people would hike up in the Cascade Mountains. Because if you think about it, all winter long, you got down trees and all that, someone's got to go in there and do it. And it was just so beautiful, and it was key to me kind of recovering and getting over a lot of the stuff that I had seen overseas. To be around other veterans, and also I called it eco-therapy, and that was part of the program. It's amazing what that can do for vets, working with your hands, making a positive difference. But I ended up, over the years, I ended up learning so much information about conservation and the importance of keeping that stuff balanced and planting back, because there's developments everywhere, and we got to find that balance. But as you've probably heard me in a few videos, I don't have the best hips. So eventually that work, I was in pain all the time. I couldn't do it. And so at that point, I was lucky enough that I had a sugar mama that worked over at Boeing. And my wife, she's a hard worker. Hats off to her. She has been with me and supported me since day one. And so she was kind of making a killing doing that. And then I started my own business for a while. I don't know how you go from driving a tank, blowing stuff up, to growing flowers and plants, but I ended up getting into growing very rare orchids, and I used to breed and sell rare poison dart frogs and exotic animals, to the point to where I used to go to expos and sell these things. And I was even on a TV show called Scaled on Animal Planet, episode 1, The Dash Family, where they built me this really cool Mayan temple. I won't lie, I'm a bad business owner. I'm a bad businessman. That's why I don't even think I could probably get into the charter business. I hate charging. When I meet nice people and good people, I hate charging them for something. I don't know why. I'm horrible. So I'd be at an expo selling plants, and I'd get some kid coming up to me, and here's a kid that's into, gardening or growing plants instead of, video games and stuff. And I'd be turning around, here, or here's a discount. I was such a bad businessman. It was just horrible. I like to be a nice person. Which is not the best if you're in it for sales and business. So it wasn't doing the best. It was more so of a hobby that kind of paid for itself. But then COVID happened, and that completely killed everything. And I just decided to cut my losses, and I ended up getting a bunch of medical conditions. My immune system turned against me. My thyroid's gone out. I'm type 1 diabetic. I've got this skin thing that's taking away my skin. So I was like, you know what? Taking care of those animals and plants, it was a lot of work. I loved it, but it was a lot of work. And that's when we decided, it's just we're getting complacent. We're getting stagnant. Let's do a new adventure. We need it. And we ended up moving from the country deep up in the Cascade Mountains, a small logging town. I sold pretty much majority of my plants. I had a really killer greenhouse. It was so cool. There'd be like 3 feet of snow outside, and it'd be like perfect. I was always recreating a Florida climate. Now I can grow those plants in my yard and stuff. But and then after that, like I said, we came over to Florida, and I ended up getting reevaluated to the VA and increased my rating finally. Apparently I should have been a higher rating from day one, and the downfall is they would only back pay me up to when I filed for the fix of my rating, and that got approved pretty quick compared to most, just because of my military history and my military record. It definitely shows some pretty craziness. So that's what I am now. But yeah, and now I just do the videos. I don't make anything from these videos, but I would say that is my goal, is to eventually, maybe get some sponsors or something like that. But I'm not sure where the road's going to take me from here. So that's kind of my work history and experience and education. Is I have a lot of military. I can drive a tank, and I can shoot 500 yards with an iron sight. Typical Marine Corps skills. And then I have an education in environmental restoration, and that's why I absolutely love fishing these refuge. How come I can't say that right now? The Merritt Island Refuge and these conservation areas, because it's just so beautiful to see that balance. And that's also why I preach all the time, picking up after yourself, or picking up trash, doing your part, because every little bit matters. But all right, now I'm gonna grab some drinks and some lunch. I'm gonna go into my favorite drink place, Space Coast Nutrition. If you're a local around here, that's a place where you can probably easily find me. All right, we got our refresher. All right, that hits the spot. All right, next question from Steve. What are your goals for your channel? That's a great question. Honestly, I just absolutely love turning a day into an entertaining video. I've always loved taking video. Even in Iraq, I got plenty of video. I love putting it together, making something like that. But, I don't make anything from my videos at all. I'm not monetized. They require, even though I get a lot of watch hours. Just actually yesterday, I got an email from YouTube saying that I can apply to at least make something. Because some of you have been saying that some of my videos have ads that pop up in the videos. I don't have any control over that. I don't even make a single penny, but they're making obviously money off of mine, because on average, I may not have a bunch of subscribers, but I get thousands of views a month and create, thousands of hours of watch time. So they're making something. So it would be nice to at least make a little bit something. But a lot of guys will tell you, you don't make a lot of money from YouTube unless you have millions of subscribers. A lot of it comes from sponsorships and things of that nature. So I would, of course, like to get to that point where I have enough followers or subscribers to where I can get some sponsorships, and I have been starting to get more recently, not actual sponsorships, but I've had tackle companies want me to test things out. Like right now I'm working on one, it's called the Flop Box. It is a bait cooler with an aerator and a cooler, which I thought would work perfect for here in the Florida heat. The only thing is I had to tell them is the turnaround time from when they sent me it to when I make the video is not going to be immediate. And the reason for that is I don't want to recommend something to all of you unless I've really put it through the test. So that bait box I've been using on and off, here and there, on and off, in different situations, on the kayak, on the shore, different when it's hot, when it's cold. And then I will come out with that video of kind of reviewing it. Do I recommend it? Is it worth the money? I think a lot of times guys will get that sponsorship just so they can kind of get some free stuff or some discounted stuff. And what happens is you try it and you're like, it's not that great, I don't want to, what do you call it, sell out and just support things that I don't actually use. But the things that I actually use, I would love to be able to work with companies and maybe make some money doing that. I have contemplated, the whole charter thing before. But obviously, like I said, you need to get to the point to where every time you go, you can get on the fish, you know where to find them. And we're getting to that point. But again, I'm a bad businessman. So I just don't think that a charter thing would be for me. I do love the whole editing thing. So, it would be cool to do videos for people that have charter companies, go out with them and do a video with them and showcasing whatever business or charter that they have, and then pumping out a video trying to get them more clients. Those are all things that maybe I can learn things from them at the same time by also helping them. So honestly, I'm not too sure. Obviously my goals for the channel are to have it grow and to be able to make something from it. But I'm not stressing about it. I love what I do, and I figure, hey, when what comes will come. So I think that if I just keep grinding and keep doing what I love, that in time, things will work out. And so that's the goal. I think is just keep up the slow growth that I have. It's a nice, slow, organic growth. Get people that are interested and enjoy seeing what I do and what I'm up to. And then from there, we'll kind of figure it out. But like for instance, I'd love to be sponsored by Fenwick. I use their rods religiously. I literally learned how to fish on a Fenwick many years ago. I've been using Fenwick since I was 16 years old. So it would be cool, but a lot of times those companies won't even think about sponsoring you or anything like that unless you have thousands and thousands of followers and stuff like that. So it's going to take some time until I have to be able to show that I have that amount of views before those kind of companies are really going to look at me. I am part of the pro teams for Fish or Die Bait Company and Florida Fishing Products. And those are kind of things that if you have a decent following, you can get the pro team, and you get a slight discount on some of the gear and the tackle or the rods. And the way I look at it is, I'm getting a discount. I'm not making money, but I'm using this all as a learning experience, because when it does come down time to actually getting a paid sponsorship or something like that, I should be pretty good about creating videos and editing videos to really showcase that product and test it out. The last thing I want to do is be pumping out some mediocre review that no one wants to watch. So these pro team type things, I think a lot of companies do them. You just need to reach out to them, or usually they have an option in their about section of their websites about the pro team. Anybody can apply, and a lot of times you'll get approved and you can at least get a small discount. But then you can start practicing tagging, and you can even tag products in Instagram, which nowadays really does help businesses. So I'm kind of using it as a learning curve, but I am thinking the start of 2025, I am going to try a little bit harder to maybe get some sponsorships. I've been talking to some guys that do bass fishing and some competitive inshore and doing tournaments, and how they go about their sponsorships. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll have a jersey or something like that they'll wear on one video every couple weeks that show different companies, or in some of the videos as you see, they'll have some of those companies that pop up in the beginning or the end just saying brought to you by. So I'm learning a lot from other anglers that have gotten to that point. But I would tell you that a lot of the tips and tricks on how to make money fishing are more kept secret than fishing spots. So it's definitely a slow grind and slow learn, but that's my goal. Is I would like to make something, at least something, for my videos. But as of right now, I don't make anything. This is just purely my joy of putting it out there and letting you guys watch it. So. All right, next question is, if I could only fish for one fish, what would it be? Ooh, that is a really hard question, because I absolutely love fishing for everything. I probably would have had a different answer a year ago, but I would say right now, if I had to fish for one species and that's the only fish I could go for or fish for, I would say redfish. Just because you can fish for them, bait, live bait, artificials, really anything, and they fight really well. Like I said, I've never eaten a redfish. Most areas I fish you can't, but I'd have to say if I had to pick one fish that I could only go for, it would have to be redfish. Just pound for pound, like I said, pound for pound, I think a jack probably fights harder, but redfish fight really good. And you can catch them in shallows, you can catch them in deeps, they get huge. They still fight decent when they're smaller. And like I said, you can catch them on dead cut bait, live bait, lures, artificials, topwaters. So yeah, I'd say, redfish for sure. All right, well, as you can tell, it is the next day. I just couldn't get it all done because I got home and I just couldn't find some quiet time to continue answering questions. So it is now Monday, and I know in the beginning of this video I said there would not be any fishing in this video. I could be wrong. All right, I'm headed south. I got a doctor's appointment, got to go give some blood, but then we're going to head all the way back up north. So it's going to be quite a bit of driving, and then we're going to go meet up with my buddy Nelson and cast the line out for 2 hours. Just, might as well. But that brings me to my next question. This question is it seems like you fish almost every day. How often do you really fish? Well, I will say right now that yes, I try to post stuff every day, every other day. I post a full video, a minimum of one time a week, unless I've got a trip or something that comes up. I've been trying to post 3 videos. I have done days where I've posted a video every day, but for sure I post shorts of those videos. So what I'll do is I'll make a full video and then I will dissect that into shorts. And believe it or not, those shorts is where I get most of my traffic from, because a lot of people just don't have the time to sit down and watch a 20-30 minute fishing video. So those shorts is definitely where that is at. But yeah, so it could seem like I am fishing all the time, but I will say I do fish quite a bit. But I would say 2 to 3 times a week on average. Sometimes just once or twice. And these aren't like super long fishing trips either. For those of you guys that watch my channel all the time, the situation I'm in right now is I sold my truck before I moved here to Florida. I thought it was a smart move at the time because I almost got what I paid for the dang thing when I sold it. And I figured, hey, a couple years, those prices should go down and then I don't got to ship it and all that. But I wish I would have kept it, because guess what? Truck prices have not gone down. I had a nice Silverado, crew cab, extended bed, 1500, 4-wheel drive. Just would have been perfect for out here. But yeah, so it is what it is. So now I have one vehicle for the time being, and my wife works nights, so I got to get back home by 2 o'clock so she can have time to get in the car and leave. That also means too that getting up earlier and going fishing can be a little bit harder as well. I won't lie, I get pretty forgetful even with a list. I'm still forgetting little things here or there. So, and the thing is my wife, she won't get home because she works for SpaceX. So, I mean, sometimes she's working 10s or more. Because, like I said, she is a grinder. My wife's a hard worker. Hats off to her. And she will get home early morning, and then as I'm getting dressed, she's, hopping in the shower to go to bed. So I can't load all my stuff the night before, and have everything ready so I can just kind of hop out of bed, make some coffee, and then hit the road. So sometimes I am loading things and looking at my list half asleep. So that's, you guys have probably seen a couple videos where I took the kayak out and I got to my spot and I realized I forgot my seat. Or the one time I went fishing and I forgot my rods. It happens to the best of us, But no, I'm not fishing every single day. I'd like to be able to, but it definitely seems like I fish a lot more than I usually do. On average, I go out for 4 to 6 hours. And that's something that I let guys know too, is when I get invited to go out fishing and stuff. I know a lot of guys don't like to be limited on their time or have the guy that they're fishing with, constantly being like, hey man, I gotta head back, or hey, it's time to call it. I get it. I see those memes and I agree with them. But that's why I laid out in the very beginning. Anybody that's ever met me or has invited me to go fishing knows I lay it all out on the table ahead of time. This is what works for me. This is the times I can do it. If that works for you, great, let's meet up. If it doesn't, no biggie. I'll probably have an opening come up on a day off or whatever. So that's my situation right now. I should be getting a second vehicle soon. It's just, I could right now, but we're kind of using the time with the one right now to kind of pay off a little bit of debt. Everybody's got a little bit, especially prices these days. It's nothing crazy, so it shouldn't take long. But we plan to pay a few things off and then try and grab a vehicle. I don't think I'm going to get a truck this time. I'll probably keep this one and then let the wife get something nice and new for taking the work and stuff like that. So once that happens, oh boy, the door will open up. I'll be open up to fish evenings. I'll be able to meet up with people a lot more and not be so limited on time. So there should be some good advancements into the future once I get the car or another vehicle. All right, what is the next question? All right, the next question is I've noticed in one of your videos you mentioning your social anxieties. How is that something that you've been able to overcome, and do you have any issues with it? Yes. Okay. Interesting question. Yes. Nowadays I know a lot of people battle social anxieties and things of that nature. And, I never like to hold one above the other. You never know how it feels for someone. All I can say is that, there's different levels of social anxiety. There's also different backgrounds that can cause it. So again, what's worked for me may not work for everybody. But what I will say is that, if you have legit social anxieties, you know how it feels. And then if you don't know how to manage it, or you push yourself too hard, sometimes you can lead to a panic attack. And let's just say the first time I ever had one of those, I went to the emergency room. I thought I was dying. So those are no fun. But I will say this. When I got out of the military, I dealt with a lot of the social anxieties and PTSDs and depression. I had a lot of survivor's guilt, which I'll touch base on that a little bit more. There's a question about my military history that I'll tap in. I saved that one for last. But I lived up in the country. Literally, it was 30, 45 minutes to the closest store, or fast food chain. I lived up in the country. And it helped me, because like I said, I lived that kind of quiet life a little bit. But in the end, I think I needed that, but at the same token, I hit a point where I felt stagnant or complacent. I felt like I wasn't having any new adventures. Sure, I was going and hiking those Cascade Mountains. I used to do, crystal hunting and rock hunting, and I would do fly fishing in my backyard. I'd do all that stuff. It was just too cold. But I just got to the point where those social anxieties and stuff like that, I started noticing that they limited me from doing things that I actually enjoyed. My wife knows, back in high school, I was kind of a class clown. I was a very social, I'm not extrovert. I'm more of an introverted person, but I do like some social interactions. It's just I get drained after so much social interaction, and I will be physically tired and drained. So you just need to learn how much of that you can handle, and then plan that out, right? It's such a rough topic, not a rough topic, but it's kind of hard to explain, because it took me many, many years to kind of get over that. And I still am, today I'm going to be turning 40 here soon, and I'm still figuring these things out. But the main thing that I would say is you have to keep pushing that comfort zone, but not too much, baby steps. You have to push it, but not to the point to where, it's overwhelming to where you can't do things. And then also, don't be so hard on yourself. I know personally that if I'm going out and meeting new people I've never met, or if I run out into people that I'm fishing with, I open up very easily. Like, I'm introverted, so when I do open up, oh man, I share too much. And I'll be physically drained after that, and I don't beat myself for it. I know that, hey, I'm just gonna be doing a Netflix binge tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm gonna take a little break. I don't beat myself up about it. I know that, as time goes on, those little breaks they become lesser and lesser. But another one too is and this goes for even talking to people I've known for years, even family members. I used to use the excuse that I'm cold. I will get, shaky, like I'm freezing cold, talking to someone, especially if it turns into a good conversation. I know, strange, right? The conversation's going well, they're sharing things, I'm sharing things. I will get like that, and I hate it, and I really do. And I used to use the excuse that, hey, I'm cold, but I can't really use that excuse here in Florida. But I've gotten to the point where I'm not ashamed by it. It is what it is, and I'll just straight, I tell people, look, I'm not nervous. I get some social anxieties. It's not you. It's just something I get. And you know what? If someone doesn't understand that or someone judges you, let them. Because you don't need that anyway. You don't want to be wasting any more time on someone that's going to either judge or treat you different because of something that you've got going on. That's going to be counterintuitive. That is going to cause more social anxieties. That's going to set you back. And you're going to run into those people. 100% you're going to run into those people. So those are some little tips. Don't be ashamed of anything that you got going on, but you need to push yourself. All right? All these things you see me doing in my videos, meeting new people, going to new spots, those are all because I went out of my comfort zone. And I won't lie. The nights before I go to bed, before meeting someone that I've just met or have only met a couple times, or it's going to be someone new, fucking jackwagon, still I have, especially when I'm meeting someone new, and even if I've met them, a few times, I just can't sleep the night before. I sleep really poorly because I'm running every thought in my head, and this or that, and so. But I was trying to set an example for my boys because they're going to experience things in life as well. And I do go through that. I mean, I literally get physically tired just from shaking so much. My muscles will be sore, all that kind of stuff, and the next day. And I do got to take a day off the next day. I know for some people out there might be like, oh my gosh, that's sad. And then some of you actually might agree. Look, if you don't actually, I get a lot of people judge it these days because, there is so many people that just with normal life experiences will be like, oh my God, I got social anxiety. Yeah, I get that. But there is also people out there with legitimate social anxieties or anxieties in general. Mine, they stem from the military. I did experience some things that I did have to deal with. But like I was saying, I want to set an example for my boys, and I guess now for anybody out there that's watching that also deals with that, is that I've just found that I was getting complacent. I wasn't experiencing anything new anymore, and that's the excitement and part of life that keeps you going. And then when that happens, you start getting depressed, right? Whether you know it or not. So that's what I do. I know I'm going to be uncomfortable. I know I'm not going to get the best sleep, but I know that it gets better. I know it gets better. I also know that there's going to be days where it doesn't. So as I was saying before, I am not ashamed by anything. I will voice it. I will let people know, hey, I've got this that comes up sometimes, or I deal with this, and they get it or they don't. If they don't get it or they're judgy, I just don't meet up with them anymore, or I don't talk with them. But a lot of times people will get it, and then that will make it easier. And then you've already laid it on the table. You don't have that extra weight on you knowing that, hey, I might have to cancel, or I might need to leave, or hey, I'm going to cut this trip a little short, because they're understanding. So you have to be able to own it. It is what it is, and the only way you're going to get better of it, to get better with it, is to, like I said, you have to embrace it. As weird as that sounds. So you need to embrace those anxieties and those feelings, understand what they are, and then learn to work around them, and they will slowly start to get better. I'm slowly starting to get better. I still will get those, weird feelings and stresses meeting new people, but it does get much better. Boy, I have ranted on this topic for a while. I feel like I'm just kind of repeating it. But as you guys see, I am still getting out there. I'm meeting new people, and these are things that a couple years ago I just was not doing. I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be putting myself in these situations. But at the same token, look at all the new things I've been doing. Look at all the new things I've been experiencing. You know? So, like I said, you need to push those boundaries a little bit. And I let everybody know, if you suffer from those kind of things and you need someone to talk to, or you're looking for a little bit of advice from someone that has battled those type of demons and stressors, and that's seen the light on the other side, you can always shoot me a message, and, you know, we can chat. You know, even though that might cause me a little anxiety. Like I said, I love helping people. I love chatting with people. It's just, I know that it causes certain things. I'm getting better at it, but it'll always be there, and it's always something that I will struggle with. Just, you gotta own it. All right, next question. All right, well, that kind of leads to the next question, and that one is that I saw in a video that you're type 1 diabetic. What medical conditions do you deal with, and have you had any close calls? Yes. I know sometimes you watch my videos and it might not seem like I don't have any issues, and that's just like my anxiety issues. The more you focus on those issues, the more they become issues. You know, your brain's wired to constantly be proven or finding evidence to what you're thinking, you know? And so if you're constantly thinking negative, and I'm hurting, and I'm this, and I'm that, your brain's always looking for evidence, you know, and trying to prove that point, you know? And so me personally, I have kind of tried to make this change over the last couple years, because before I moved out here, my health took a drastic turn. My immune system, which has always been extremely strong, turned against me. Almost like overnight. I was having a pizza party with my boys, had some pizza, went to bed, and I woke up to use the restroom, and I couldn't stand up. One of the scariest things I've ever, you know, well, not the scariest, but it was a scary situation for sure. I kept falling over. I literally could not stand. I ended up going to the emergency room, and my blood sugar was like 700 plus. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like 8 something. I mean, it was basically, they said syrup. So I stayed there while they kind of figured that out, and that's when I learned that I was type 1 diabetic. From then, you know, like I said, it's messed with my thyroid, and getting some gut issues. I mean, when you got that autoimmune thing, it's basically your body starts targeting other things in your body. And I always had a really strong immune system, which kind of sucks now because it's turning against me. So that was a huge change. A lot of people don't realize too that I wear like it's like a little sensor on my arm that I have to shoot a new one on every 10 days. That connects to my phone and reads my blood. And then I also have, this is my pancreas. It's literally attached to my skin. Every 3 days, as you can see there, it's not too fun. And like, if you do it once or twice just to try it, right, you're like, oh, it's not so bad. But trust me, it gets old really fast. And then when you're doing that every 3 days, I mean, yes, I'm not going to complain. It's better than shooting myself with the pin all the time. But when you're doing that so many times, I've been diabetic for a few years now, and I'm a skinny guy. I don't have a lot of areas with fat to put that thing. So the problem that I've encountered is that I'm getting scar tissue in these areas. And so when I go to put that on, sometimes I hit that scar tissue. And boy, you ever have a splinter in your skin that you just gotta get out? Yeah, sometimes it's like that, and I cannot take it out. Or sometimes when I put the sensor in my arm, on my back arm, or it hits muscle, I can feel that little sensor under my skin hitting the muscle, and oh my gosh, it is a doozy. So I do struggle with that occasionally. So I am type 1 diabetic. That's why I have to pack so much gear. That's why I gotta make sure I got sugar. I gotta make sure I have a plan for attack. I can't just hop in the water. I gotta take precautions for that because I'm like half cyborg. I got all these, electronics. And then I also have some shitty hips. I don't have the best hips in the world. If you ever meet me and you walk next to me, just ask. I'll put your hand right there on the side of my hip. Every step I take, my hips pop out. So the longer I go, the more those, I'll be hurting pretty bad the next day. But I do think it's important that I still get out there and work them. Try and keep those muscles around them strong. So I will push it just to that limit. Sometimes a little more where I shouldn't, but I push myself to that limit where I start to feel a little bit, uncomfortable or feel a little pain, and that's when I start to dial back. But unfortunately, these days I just can't push it as much as I used to. But the motion of riding a bike isn't as hard on my hips as walking, though. So I have noticed that my kayak or riding my bike, those are things that I can do still and not get so much pain from that. But pulling my cart those days, I gotta take some breaks. One thing I did notice that I will be seriously knocked out, like in pain the next day, is standing on rocks or jetties in fishing, because you're always at like an unlevel position. I don't know what that is, but boy, the couple of times I did that, it took me like a good 2 days to get over that. And the VA, I think that they chalked it up to, when you drive an M1 Abrams, I'll put a picture right here, you're practically laying down. You know what I'm saying? So I've hit 2 explosions that were, they felt like they were practically under the tank, but obviously I'm still here. That tank kept me alive, but the explosion was enough to where at one point one of my buddies came across the radio and was like, screaming my name, like that he thought I was toast, because I was parked like right next to it, and the other one I was driving down a road. But I've had close calls, but both of them kind of knocked me a little bit. I don't know, maybe a couple seconds out. I have no idea how long I wasn't really thinking, because all of us in the tank were kind of like, whoa, what the heck, But they feel that if you think about how you sit in that tank, because that's what gets you. And like I have friends in the military, they've hit explosions, IEDs in the tank, and they survived. And the explosion doesn't actually pierce the bottom of the tank. The vibrations and the force, they shatter the legs, they shatter the spine. So they feel that a lot of those, or probably those 2 explosions, that force on the hips, could have caused something. And they talked about hip replacements many years ago, and the problem is I'm so young that I don't know if it's changed. This was years ago they told me this, but hip replacements, they only last for so long. And for someone as young as me, that if I got it done, I would probably need to have it redone, 2 or 3 times. And at that point, that's just too much. So, they wanted to give me, pain meds and all that kind of stuff. And I try and avoid those as much as possible unless I 100% have to. And so nowadays, I don't take any pain meds for any of that stuff. Like I said, I just try and keep that area moving. I kind of keep it stretched. I try and keep it worked out. I push it to that edge right there, just like my anxieties. But I most definitely deal with some stuff, and that's something that I let people know as well. And I have people I go out with that also have issues. Everybody's got their things that they are dealing with, right? But yeah, so. Man, I've rambled on this one for quite some time here. And then of course, my immune system decided to start attacking my skin right before I moved to Florida, the Sunshine State. I don't know, you guys probably have noticed this right here. I think it's called like vitiligo, where you lose all the pigment in your skin. Of course, right on my face, right on my face. And this was not here before, everybody. It started like the size of like a little, smaller than a dime. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like, what is going on? And it just kept spreading. And I tried different creams, different steroid creams, all that stuff, and I just couldn't stop it. And I think I got another one starting on my neck. And I'll tell you right now, I got to put sunscreen on, and it just drips in my eye. So this is why I wear this. This is why I'm always wearing a hat, or why my glasses are a little bit bigger. Because when you don't have pigment in your skin, you burn super fast, and that thing will blister because there is no resistance to that skin when there's no pigment in there. Think of someone that is like see-through white going out in the sun. They're gonna get burned almost instantly, right? That's what it is. And unfortunately, it just keeps spreading. And like I said, I won't lie, I was getting depressed. Being a Marine, being someone that lived out in the country, the world could have ended and I would have been fine. I had, I was raising ducks, turkeys, chickens. I had fruit trees, apples, cherries, pears. I had edible plants and medicinal plants growing all throughout my 3 acres property up in the country, stocked up with everything to survive, the end of the world or whatever, and then to go from, so self-sustainable to 100% reliant on my insulin, which needs to be refrigerated. So when the power goes out and things happen, I'm toast. And just, it was very, very hard. And I found myself constantly just, I can't do this anymore. I can't do that anymore. I wanted to learn how to fly. A couple years ago, I was looking into taking some classes on learning how to fly. When I moved here, I was looking at looking into learning to scuba dive. But a lot of these things, they don't want a pilot that can be diabetic. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's ways around it, but it would be a challenge. So I hit a point where, and you guys hear me say it all the time, perspective. I said, you know what? I'm focusing on my glass half empty. And nothing good's going to come from that. So, hey, my hips are bad, but I can still walk. My immune system's turning against me, but I still could manage every day. I've got, there's new technology, there's pumps, there's sensors. Does it suck putting it in? Sure. But you know what? Hey, it makes life a little bit easier. Back in the day, diabetes type 1 was a death sentence. And then after that, you had to literally every time you eat something, you got to, so glass half full. That still means the negatives and the bad still exist. But the same token, the positive still exists. And I'm just choosing to focus on that positive end. And I have noticed that has helped me move forward. So when you're getting down, you got stuff coming up, that's all you got to do. You there's two sides of it. There always is. Just like the brighter the light, the darker the shadow it will cast. You know what I'm saying? So you have to find that balance. You need to understand that no matter how crappy things get or how bad things are going, there's another side to it. And if you focus on that positive side, it does seem like there is better days ahead, because it gets you in this tendency to look for the brighter things in everything. I'm not saying it isn't a challenge, and I still challenge with it, but it does become easier over time by changing your thought process, because everything we watch on social media and TV and when we talk to other people, it's doom and gloom, right? We need to rewire ourselves to see the other side. That glass is half full. Everybody's looking at it as half empty. Oh man, well, this and this and that. Try and change that thought process, and I promise you, it makes all the difference. But it's not easy. It's something that you got to practice. So yes, I do deal with a list of things. But and I have had, and the second part of that question is I have had some close calls out there. I've even had people I've gone out with give me dirty looks because I will be out in the middle of the lagoons and it's quiet, and I cannot turn it off. I cannot turn the volume down or anything when my my low blood sugar goes off, it gives an alarm, and it's like beep, 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 and it's just going off, right? And I'll get dirty looks. I'm like, look, I can't, you know how hard it is to figure out how much sugar you burn just walking around or just standing in the sun? I can't figure out. One day I'm burning this fast, next minute I'm not. So there is times, and thankfully, like I said, I have these sensors, I have these monitors that can give me a heads up. And sometimes I've caught it a little bit late, where I've had to sit down, because if you know someone's type 1 diabetic, you literally can be near death, but then eat a little bit of sugar or drink some sugar and be fine in 10 minutes. It is crazy, because I will literally go from slurring my words, barely being able to stand up, to being fine, and I just gotta wait for that to kind of process. The other downfall too is, like I said, I got this cord attached to me. I have snagged that many times. Out fishing on trees, logs, even snagged it once in my fishing pole when I went to go cast. Ripped it right out of my skin. Yeah, that hurt. I snag them on kitchen counters almost on the regular. I need to replace my dang kitchen counter door knobs, because they grab it. But nothing sucks than walking around snagging things. I've gotten myself tangled up when I sleep, because I gotta wear a pump when I sleep. But like I said, I can focus on all that negative, or I can focus on the things that I can still do, and I'm choosing to do that. And that's why a lot of times people are a little bit shocked when they hear about a lot of the stuff that I deal with, or they feel my hips, or they see that I'm literally type 1 and have all these other things. I'm just not focusing on it. I acknowledge they're there. I work around them. I try and push them as much as I can, and try and make positive choices. But the biggest changer that I have found is just my thought process, my perspective. The positive and negative exist all the time, but what am I focusing on? And from here on out, I'm focusing on that glass being half full. And I'm going to make the best of every day that I can, because we don't know what our health's going to be here in the future. I don't know what my health's going to be like next year. And those are the realities of life when you get older and older. It doesn't matter what your age is, really. These things kind of happen. You see people in their 20s getting cancer. It is what it is. Don't let those things stop you. Of course, I'm not saying out there, if you got a broken leg, go push it. I'm not. Use common sense, but find those limits. Work yourself up to those limits. Push yourself a little bit and dial back. Don't be ashamed. Anyway, that was a big long rant. Boy, this video's. If you're still watching right now, thank you, because you know what? You guys are the reason why I enjoy doing this, and that has pushed me to talk on camera, because this is not something I saw myself doing a year ago. And like I said, I don't have thousands and thousands of followers, but the ones that I do have are legit followers. They're people that can relate. They're people that deal with their own stuff, or they agree with some of the values that I have when it comes to outdoors and cleaning up and how I fish. And if you've met me, you know that how I am on camera is exactly how I am in person. And that'll lead me to the next question, which is what is that next question? Let's see here. Let's pull it up, because it had something to do with my YouTube channel. All right, there it is. Any tips for growing my YouTube channel? Okay. Just getting out there and doing it. Like I said, if you go back and watch some of my first videos, oh boy, they are a far cry from what they are now. I was not comfortable talking on the camera. After a while, my wife was like, hey, just act like you're talking to me. I wouldn't talk that much. And I was learning to edit. I was learning all these different things. And I was also dealing with my medical issues, my social anxieties. But baby steps. It doesn't matter how small the steps are. Or even if you just stand in place sometimes and just take a breather. But push yourself a little bit. If you want to start a channel, you want to do something like that, 100% do it. If that's something that you want to try, do it. But just don't expect yourself to be this new, big time star. It takes time, it takes practice, but you do slowly get better with it. You do slowly get a little bit better with, another one too is like, here I am sitting in the parking lot for my appointment, and there's people walking by seeing me talk to my phone. Before I'd be like, "Ooh, put it down." Now, not so much. It's what I do, and it's what my goals are. I'm not. People are gonna look at you regardless, and that's another thing too. Is you slowly you have to be okay with haters. The more successful you are, the more positive and happy you are, the more you're going to encounter those haters, because that's just how they are. That's how life is. They're going to try and bring you down. So when you do experience those stuff, just remember that those people only come out and try and troll or hate on people that a lot of times is jealousy. They're obviously in their life unhappy. So they want to bring you down. They want to suck that energy from you. And I've noticed that too, that the more successful my channel is, and the happier, more positive I am of just who I am and what I do get my fair share of haters and trolls. That's part of it. I probably could have grown my channel twice as much what it is right now if I posted more on Facebook and social media and really pushing my videos and the links. I know guys that do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. You can do that, but especially on Facebook and things like that, you are gonna get a large amount of trolls and just, oh, that's a fish undersized, or I get things like, oh man, you're new to Florida, you have no right telling people or showing people how to fish or whatever. I mean, it's endless. And then I've had people too say hurtful things too that made me want to respond, because I'm not someone, I don't like bullying. I usually stand up for that stuff, and so I guess I don't post it as much, because the best thing to do is just ignore those people, give them a thumbs up. I know that there's times where I'm pretty good at comebacks, and I don't let people, but I like to give them a piece of my ear. But that's what they want. They want a reaction out of you. So I don't post it as much on social media, just because I know that, and I know that sometimes I like to give people a piece of my ear and let them know. But that doesn't get you anywhere. So you need to be okay with that starting a channel. Definitely. You need to figure out what you enjoy doing, and then you need to try and fit that niche to it, or that niche, I think they call it, right? And I do all my editing on my phone, which I think there's another question here that I'll touch base on it after my appointment, and what I use to make my videos. But if you want to start a channel, the first thing you need to do is be you. Because if you act differently on camera or not really yourself, that there will hit points where you're making your videos pretty regularly, right? And it kind of becomes like a job or work. And if you have to put on this different, character or persona, that's more work, right? If you could just be yourself, you will get your followers, and it might be like, for me, it was a very slow growth, right? But those followers, they started following me because they're watching me for who I am and my character. And those of you that have met me know that I am exactly who I am on camera. So when I go on camera and I do these things, there's no added, oh, I need to make sure I come across this way. No, I just do me. So, because the whole point of it should be fun, right? It should make you happy. It should be something that you enjoy. And if you got to go out and act a certain way or play a certain character, unless that's something you enjoy, it just adds, more work to it, or more negativity or whatnot. So if you like playing, some people that do really good playing different characters and personas and all that kind of stuff, and then if that's what you enjoy, do it. But for most of us, just make sure you're you, right? And go at your own pace. You will become more comfortable on camera. You will become more comfortable speaking on camera, meeting people. Baby steps. Go at your own pace, and you will slowly get better. And the more you do it, the faster it comes along, right? Don't be discouraged by haters and trolls, because honestly, once you start becoming successful and your channel's actually, that's the whole point of making videos, right? Whether it's positive or negative, is causing a reaction, creating engagement. So sometimes even bringing up feelings of those trolls and haters wanting to bash you or bring you down, think about it. That's what you want, to create a response, right? Now, they're seeing someone being happy and positive, and they want to bring them down. So when you start getting those haters and stuff like that, like I said, ignore them, but just take that as a sign that you're on the right path, and just keep doing you and keep trucking along. That's probably the best advice I can give you for starting a new channel. Find something that you love doing so you can do it as much as possible. Find, a certain niche that you think that can be filled. For me, fishing videos, there's a dime a dozen. There's a lot of people out there doing fishing videos. So I knew that, it was going to be a very hard topic to really grow a successful channel. So the way I look at it is I'm just going to stay consistent, and I'm not going to focus on having this giant subscriber base. I'm focused on my own personal growth, becoming more comfortable on camera and editing. And that way, in the future, if I do become bigger or I do get these sponsors or anything like that, I will be good at editing videos. I will be comfortable on camera, and I'll be able to, do all these different things that I never thought were possible, years before. So again, go at your own pace, do what you love, be you. And that's the number one tickets. All right, well, let's go give some blood, and then we'll address our next topic as we drive down or back up north to go fishing. All right, well, apologies if this video is so long. Like I said, I rant and rave. That's part of that of me being comfortable and getting comfortable with doing videos or being on camera is I just talk to you guys like, we're friends, because a lot of us are friends, honestly. I really do feel that. And like I said, I'd rather have, a couple hundred followers that I consider real friends than thousands of randoms, you know what I'm saying? So, because honestly, I am where I am today thanks to a lot of you guys that are watching and meeting up with me or giving me comments, tips, tricks. Those are all great. But the next question is what cameras do I use and what editing software? This is a pretty common question that I do get. I currently use a GoPro 9. Now, I am thinking about upgrading that because they got some really nice new ones, and you know how technology is. After a couple years, you really start to know the difference between the newer ones and the older ones. And there's just a lot of beautiful spots where I get footage that I would absolutely love to get, the best quality image. So I am thinking about upgrading. GoPro has a new one, the GoPro 13. But I'm on the wall about actually maybe trying a different company called Insta360. And they've got this really cool 360 cam that would just look really awesome on the kayak. But, these cameras aren't cheap. The new GoPro and these Insta360 camera, they're about $499, about $500. That's not even including all the accessories. So it's like, do I stay with something that I know works, or do I try something new that might add a new element to the videos? And I honestly, for one, I have time to think about it because I got to save up a little bit. Every time I start saving up a little bit, my kids need something. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get the new GoPro or if I'm going to go with this Insta360. I see guys with both, and they both look pretty dang nice. So I use primarily my GoPro Hero 9. I have a chest magnet mount that I wear around my neck. It's like it's got like a 550 cord, and then it's got a magnet under my shirt, and it clicks on. And that's kind of nice because I can click it on different things. I also have a hat clip. I can put that camera up there. And then my parents also gave me their GoPro, which is a GoPro Hero 7. Now, that one I like to use, if I'm on my kayak, I'll have my main GoPro on the boomstick that kind of turns and gets me that wide. That's my main camera. And then I'll use that GoPro 7 on my hat so I can put it up there if I'm casting places where I want to be able to look and get that angle. Or when I'm shore fishing, I will use that other secondary GoPro on a big, long, floaty selfie stick. Make sure it floats, and I'll use that on releases and stuff to put in the water and try and get those underwater angles. underwater angle shots. And then I do the other parts of my videos and clips of me talking or in my car on my phone. I was using the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra for the last almost 2 years now, but I did finally have my phone have some issues. I had to get it do a warranty claim on it, and they upgraded me to the new Samsung S24 Ultra, which is the same thing as the 23 Ultra pretty much. The camera and all that stuff is the same. It's just got some newer AI features and a little bit more memory or something like that. But so that's what I use for that. Now, as far as editing, I tried to maybe learn, those crazy editing programs, but I'm gonna need to take a class, because there is so many features and things to learn that I would need. The way I learn is I need someone to show me, and right now I just don't have the time to sign up for a class, because then it's cutting into my fishing time. So I do all my, believe it or not, and this usually shocks a lot of people, I do all my editing on my phone. I use an app called YouCut on the Play Store. It's called YouCut, and I take my GoPro footage, and the GoPro has an app. I will download the footage from my GoPro app onto my phone. Well, first you pull them up on your GoPro app, right? I'll go through all the footage in the GoPro app, because a lot of times you hit on to try and catch the hit or the strike, and nothing happens. Those I end up deleting. So that way is when I save the video from the app, the GoPro app, to my phone, I'm not saving a bunch of just random videos or clips. That'll go into a folder into my phone called GoPro exports or something along those lines. Then what I'll do is I have a separate folder that I made where I will then move those video or those clips into that folder. And then I'll go through my camera reel, get the videos of me talking in my car or any other shots on my tripod, or things like that. Why is that shaking so much? Oh my gosh, what is going on right now? So then I'll move, I'll go through my camera shots, and yes, when I'm driving, I am hands-free. I have two different mounts in my car. I have my usual one right here that kind of like sticks into the air conditioner thing, and I talk to it right here, and it's plugged in. And then I also have one up on the window, and I'll put my camera up there and just record while I'm driving around, and that's kind of used as a background. You guys see all the time. So that's the thing, you see me recording and talking in the car, but hands-free. You don't want to be messing around with your camera and all that kind of stuff. So I usually pull over or set that up before I get going. So there's that. So anyway, after I get all that into a folder and together, then I go open up the YouCut app. And that's where the fun begins. That's where you start to organize your clips. You got your intro. You want to put all your clips, like for instance, me driving around, that background, and then I'll add in, me talking, all the clips. Then you got to do all the transitions. You do all that, and I'm doing all this on my phone. And I like that because I can kind of just put it down whenever I want. I can edit my videos wherever I'm at. 80% of the clips that I get and video I end up deleting. It's just people will be sitting there watching. Now, yes, there's some people that post just the uncut. A lot of people will turn that on in the background. They like that long, just waiting for the line to go kind of a thing. But the majority of time, viewers, if it's not something going on, they are gonna click away. So that's been a hard part for me, is just kind of finding those moments. I like to do like a 3 to 5 second rule, where if in between bites or something like that, if I can count to 3 or 5 and nothing happens, there's not me saying anything, or there's nothing happening on the camera, there's no action, that's where I will hit a transition. So if it just showed me talking to the camera or catching a fish, right, and then now I'm waiting for a bite or I'm casting, and if I count to 3 or 5 of me just standing there with nothing happening, me not talking or anything like that, I put a transition there to transition, or I shorten the space to where there is some action, because I figure, hey, if someone's watching and they've, you know, got other things to do, right around that 3-second mark, if nothing's happening, they might click away, and that's when you kind of want something to pop up, or maybe you throw in something into the video. But anyway, I'll put all that video together, and then what I'll do is I will save that video to my phone. Now, before you go deleting all your clips, because that's the number one, I've ran into that problem before. If you start moving your stuff around into different folders and all that, it can mess up your video sometimes. So don't move anything around in your albums or delete any video clips once you start editing. Once you've saved that edited video and you know it's good, then you can go through and kind of delete all the GoPro clips and all that, because it's in the folder. So then what I do is, obviously I do videos all the time. It would eat up the memory on my phone. My phone would be bogged up in 2 weeks time, right? So what I'll do then is, sometimes I'll upload it to YouTube on my phone, but a lot of times that takes way too long, and then I can't really use my phone for anything else. So what I do is then I go to my computer, and then I will transfer that video, and also any of the clips that are, you know, clips I want to keep for maybe future reference, or just clips and pictures that I want to keep. I move that over to my desktop on my computer. From there, what I do is I will go to YouTube, I will upload, I will do all that stuff, and then once the upload's done, or you're scheduled to upload, I bought an external hard drive. And the reason being for that is I also don't want to eat up all the memory and space on my computer as well, because when you're making this many videos and stuff, it adds up. So once it's uploaded and I see it's up on YouTube, it's published or scheduled, all that, that's when I will then transfer it over to my external hard drive, along with any clips or anything like that. And I can go back to, I've got 2 external hard drives now. I've about got the second one filled up, but everywhere to my first video I've ever made, let's say YouTube completely crashes, or someone hacks my YouTube page or something like that, and I lose everything, I can literally go repost every video. It's all on there. So that's the benefit of it. And then I go through my computer, I delete everything on there, throw them in the recycle bin. I go to my phone, I delete all those, and I might make a couple shorts out of a couple clips, but then I delete it all, and now I've got a video published. My phone and computer are exactly how they were before, and on my external hard drive, that video is saved forever, right? So that's how I do it. There's probably easier ways to do it. There's probably better ways to do it. That's just how I do it. Find what works for you and run with it. And of course, if any of you guys have questions on, if you end up getting that app, the UCut app, and have questions about transitions and how I like to use it or whatever, definitely hit me up. I'm more than happy to share and help you guys all, because I remember when I was learning, I learned the hard way. I did it all by trial and error. So, but that's kind of what I do. The next question is what's my most memorable fishing experience? I guess that's a little bit different than, one of the first questions about my craziest fishing experiences. But most memorable, I definitely can't narrow it down to one. I would have to say there is a good handful, and that's usually it's not necessarily the fish that I caught, but the people that I fished with. Because some of my most memorable fishing experiences that I think back and it just brings me a smile or makes me happy probably would be, when I think back to fishing with my family. We used to go up and we had a little boat for a little while, and we used to go up and do a little trout fishing. Just thinking back to that time puts a smile on my face, and my dad kind of teaching me how to trout fish, and I still have that old Fenwick too that I was using. Another one would be, my grandpa used to go to his place sometimes in the summertime, and he had this little pond that he would hand feed these catfish and trout and bass. And I remember him teaching me how to fly fish in his field in the front yard on an old Fenwick fiberglass. Another one too would be in Iraq. My buddy Daniel Chavez. I was shocked when I learned that he was from Washington State and had never been fishing before. And when I got all those Bass Pro rods and I took them out, and here's a picture. Maybe I'll try and look up. Maybe I'll go into my safe tonight and try and get a video clip of it, because I have not looked at that video clip in years.
It's a biggins. Look at him with a smile. It's a big fish. Hold it up.
I mean, I can't even name all the memorable fishing experiences, honestly, because the most memorable fishing experiences are always with other people. There's just, and I think that's what's kind of been pushing me to kind of get out there a little bit, to push my comfort zone a little bit, to deal with those anxieties, because when I think back to the most memorable experiences, and your question kind of made me think back as well. When I think back, honestly, to my most memorable fishing experiences, it's not necessarily the fish. It's the people I went fishing with. And, boy, that is a reminder, isn't it? I would say the most exciting fishing experiences, yeah, they got fish. But the most memorable, and that's why, to me, like I said, it's not about just catching fish, All right, and one of the final questions is, what is my military experience and did I see combat? And that's from Zach. Well, Zach, yes, I was in the United States Marine Corps, joined up in 2003 after high school. I didn't even have a fun summer out of high school or celebrate graduating high school. I left within a few weeks of graduating, went straight over to boot camp in Kuwait for a couple weeks, and then they figured out where each platoon was going, and we had orders to go to the Haditha Dam in the Al Anbar province, Iraq. And back then they called that the Wild Wild West. You had people coming in from Syria, just some bad dudes back there, and that's why they wanted to send the Marines back there, right? So I was attached. I was active duty. I was attached to a reserve unit that was deployed out there called the Marines of Lima Company, 325. And if you look them up, Marines of Lima Company, 325, there's documentaries, there's books. I've actually helped with a couple, which I'll post more towards the end of this. And unfortunately, they were the heaviest hit unit in the Iraq War, and I was attached to them. And as a tanker, I saw and experienced a lot. There was a lot of pretty crazy ambushes and situations that happened that I won't go too crazy into details with, but it was just one after the other. And I definitely became a man. I've literally seen the worst and the best of humankind. I mean, it's, as I tell people in a tank, you're somewhat protected, but it was like having a front seat to war. And a lot of times I'd feel helpless. Me personally, I'd want to try and help get that person or whatnot, and I had to sit there and watch. And there was a lot of situations over there as well where I'm here and they're not, and I had a lot of survivor's guilt. So, and I don't hold that kind of stuff against me anymore, but it took me many, many years. But still today, one of my triggers is if I get lost going somewhere, I straight up just go home. Now I'm a little bit better. I'll just tell my wife to drive, but my family knows I'm not ashamed of it. I know I get like that because, You know, in Iraq there was multiple times. You know, the ambush at the Haditha hospital, where, you know, like I said, we made a wrong turn, and next thing we know, a car pulls out. Explosion so big it blew up like half a block. The helicopter pilot reported everybody dead. Thankfully, I was inside of a tank, so when I started coming to, I was still there. And I tell people, it's like you're talking like this, and snap, everything's on fire, and people are screaming. It's just, yeah, it was a crazy night. You know, yeah. But anyway, you know, I have footage and stuff that I'm holding on to that maybe one of these days I'll put together. There's a documentary. There's also a traveling memorial called The Eyes of Freedom that travels the United States to different, you know, state houses and schools, and teaches people and shows people the sacrifice these men and women have made. And the insane part about it is I was attached to those men. Some of those men in those pictures, I was there. And I've never actually seen the memorial myself. Now, I don't need a reminder of those men's faces. I see them, you know, even to this day, you know, somewhat regularly. I don't, but someday I hope maybe I can have the courage and the strength to maybe pay my respects to that memorial. But
it's conducting combat operations as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom 3. The mission? To provide much-needed stability to the Anbar province in western Iraq, a region that would later be coined the Wild West, due to the high level of insurgent activity coming from the Syrian border. After 7 months of city clearing, weapon seizures, presence patrols, and urban combat, Lima Company, 3rd Battalion, 25th Marines had greatly neutralized the insurgency that had previously dominated the area. Mission accomplished. However, this mission would come at a great cost.
22 Marines and 1 Navy corpsman, all members of Lima Company, all killed in Iraq.
The Marine unit lost 23 members in combat.
The 22 Marines and 1 Navy corpsman of Columbus-based Lima Company who were killed while serving in Iraq in
23 men from the Columbus-based Lima Company died, killed in Iraq.
The losses brought the war home to Ohio like never before.
The 10-minute drive from the church to Memorial Park was lined with people waving American flags and holding up signs of thanks.
Not make it home. We honor their memory. We honor their service.
Trailers on the freeways near you. Since
These are the eyes of freedom, painted to honor service and sacrifice. These are the men of Lima Company who fought and died together in Iraq, who now stand as silent witnesses. Their eyes reflect the thousands of men and women who offer their lives in service to our nation. Their gift is personal. We give thanks to our armed forces and their families who quietly sacrifice to support that gift every day.
Interested and to know more, like I said, I can give you guys a link to the documentary. I think that what was it, Discovery Channel or something like that, did a video called The Marines of Lima Company Combat Diary. I won't lie, it's a pretty sad video, but you can kind of get an idea of just how crazy things were. Like I said, we were fighting guys sometimes. I mean, we were shooting main gun rounds into a house. There's actually a YouTube video somewhere. And like I said, Discovery Channel has footage from this battle from the outside. You know, these guys on the roof. And in the background of the video, you see this tank, because a Marine went to go knock on the door. He got hit. He went down. And no one can get in because the enemy's just barricaded into this house. And in the YouTube video, and if anybody's interested in seeing it, I can send it to you. It's on YouTube. You'll see this tank in the background, shoot a main gun round, and then drive into the house. Just bulldoze into that house. And I tell people that's me. And I'm sure I get a lot of people to say, yeah, okay, I can prove it. You know, I have the personal footage of me inside the tank, because I was using my camera to look through my periscope to see if he was still breathing. What's up, guys? All right, so I'm editing this video, and I am on the wall about putting in some of these parts, my military history, and but I think I'm going to. I do want to start sharing this kind of stuff, and I do get asked about it probably more than any of the other questions. So I just want to give a little disclaimer. It is military content, so I did the best I could at trying to bleep out, cut out any language or graphic scenes. But if you're a vet, or you try and avoid this type of military content, especially if you were in the Middle East and stuff like that, then maybe avoid this next segment. But for everybody else, I hope you appreciate it, because this is the first time that there's only a handful of people that have seen some of these clips and footage that I have, and this is just one, or just a couple clips of many that I have. But this is the first time I'm publicly putting out some of my own footage. Like I said, there is footage from even the clip I'm about to show you guys that, though, it's a little bouncy, and the loud pitch screech sound, that is the sound of a tank. Yes, I lived with that, so apologies for that too, because like I said, the audio is not really the best, but that's how it was. And I kind of want to, my videos are like my journal, so and my military history is a big part of me, so I just wanted to put it out there. Like I said, if it's something that you don't agree with, or you don't support, or you're triggered by, definitely avoid it, or skip over this part. But besides that, I wanted to just show just maybe a little glimpse of some clips that I have, to kind of give people an idea of I get asked that a lot, how was Iraq, or what did I experience, and I think these clips give it a pretty good idea. Like I said, I've got hours of footage that I can go through, so maybe one of these days I'll actually put it together, put it into a digital form, and be able to kind of really put it together. So enjoy, because I was really questioning not doing it. So all right, let's go.
Oh shit. Get the fuck out of there. I need you to cross that road there, and then push out to the west. You'll see.
run into that house, to the point to where I had the house breaking down and then I couldn't see. I had to pop my hatch and my periscope and push boulders off of my tank. I remember sticking my 9mm out the periscope as well, taking a couple pops. And we found out that those guys, they were hopped up on PCP, adrenaline. They would not die. They'd be missing limbs and all kind of stuff and be still reaching for a weapon. Superhumans, basically. But that day was a pretty crazy day, to say the least. But we lost two that day, but right in front of me too, and it took me many years to even be able to discuss it. Now here I am putting it on a public video, right? But like I said, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Everything in life is meant for a reason. Experiences. Yeah. So yeah, if anybody's interested in seeing more of those kind of things or some of the links, shoot me a message. I don't mind sharing it. I'm trying to get to that point where I do share it more, because I have a whole story that I can tell, and footage and stuff that I'd love to go through. And the way I look at it too is I'm getting really good at putting videos together. Maybe one of these days I can go through my hours of footage of my deployment and have a whole nother perspective on what they consider now in the history books one of the heaviest hit units in the Iraq War. So that's something that I get a lot of times when I meet people. They know I'm military, they know I've seen combat, but when people realize the extent of what that deployment was and who I was attached with, sometimes I get treated a little different. And that's the main thing. I don't want to be treated any different, any specialer or worse than anybody else. I just want to be treated normal, but yeah. So anyway, everybody, that's kind of my military history. And then when I got out, I had some issues. My son, I was flying back home from Iraq. There's no decompression time anymore. Like getting on a ship. You got, weeks or months to get back and kind of talk with the guys. We flew back. I'm halfway back home, and I try and call my wife, and they're like, look, she's in the hospital. Get there, I had news cameras on me, newspaper writers, camera crews on me. How does it feel knowing your son's being born the same day? I was in a state of shock. Here's some stuff of that, some pictures and things like that. But I literally went from putting my rifle down and trying to stay alive to having my first son. And I remember just thinking, this is my mission. This is my goal. And I started dealing with some stuff, especially as we got ready to go back again. And every part of me wanted to go back, but a part of me also knew that I'd be going back for some vengeance, and it was going to take me into a pretty dark place. So, I ended up trying to seek help and do all that kind of stuff. And in the Marine Corps, doing that kind of stuff, it was not a good thing to do. You had to have some courage to really do that, because, the Marine Corps, you just didn't show weakness. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But long story short, I ended up being part of the Wounded Warrior program, and got to do some amazing things, like I mentioned previously, meeting certain celebrities and stuff like that. And then, then I got out in 2007 and just kind of been trucking along since. But yeah, so that's my military history, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys for watching. I know this was an extremely long video. And you know me, I like to rant and rave. So I appreciate for anybody that is that has watched this and enjoys following my channel or following just what I'm up to. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I absolutely love doing this. So much so, I am literally backing up to go fishing right now, meet up with my buddy just for a couple hours, even if I could just get a couple hours. But anyway, everybody, as always, I appreciate you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Oh, and if you have any questions that you want maybe see me address in a future video, yeah, drop me a message, drop me a comment. I'll put it on the list for the next one. Maybe I'll do another one of these. Maybe I won't wait till 100 vlogs till I do it though. All right, guys, tight lines. Thanks for watching. Peace.